You are watching a video from my method, Working the Inner Clock Part 2, recorded in 7 different countries with fantastic guest artists from around the world.
I like to take a little bit of license here with mixing a bit of poetry and science because I think that's necessary as a musician. The inner clock is the mechanism that allows you to feel time. Okay, when you hear music, you feel it, right? You can feel the pulses and you can, right? That's the mechanism that every human being has. As a musician, you have to have this more refined than the average person. Inner clockwork. How do you go about developing your inner clock? A lot of people say, well, you get stronger time by working with a metronome, but that's not necessarily so. I've seen guys that can play really well with a metronome and do all the exercises perfect, but when they go to play jazz or Latin music, they sound super stiff and not happening, right? Click is good for developing muscle memory at different tempos, right? Developing muscle memory and accuracy. But if you play completely accurate in Afro-Cuban music, for example, it doesn't sound good. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants like metronomic accuracy in that, or in jazz. It just completely sounds sterile. Some of the reasons that we have this affinity to try to be totally perfect could be because in the 80s, they had this whole drum machine era, and all the producers then wanted you to play with a lot of precision and just like a drum machine and hit exactly the same power every single time. What that is called sucking the life out of music. Right? Completely static, like a machine, has no soul. The drummer, especially, there's so many things that you do, so little things that you do that push and pull the music, right? That are very special, that gives it the human feel. So your human feel has to have a very strong undercurrent of time, okay? So developing an awareness of subdivisions and rhythm is what's going to give you this strong sense of time.
A great way to work on your time, on your ability to distinguish the feelings of each subdivision, is by changing the genre of music. A great benefit is to play different styles of music, of course. When you're interpreting figures, they all have their certain vocabulary, their particular nuances that you have to use to stay within that style, the vocabulary, and the genre. Sometimes if you do rock type of fills in a jazz tune, for example, obviously it doesn't work so well. In this video, we're going to be working with a tune from my method called Don't Break My Hertz. You can get the play along and full chart by becoming a member of my lesson site, where this song awaits you and so much more. Welcome to Don't Break My Hertz. So in this tune, we have the reggae genre, and we're using a basic one drop feel. So if you don't know what one drop is, it's this. Bass drum and the snare with the side stick. That's why it's called one drop, I guess. Now, the purpose of this is not for you to be the greatest reggae drummer in the world. It's for you to be able to apply the inner clock method using different genres. So again, the different genres give you a chance to feel things with different feels, basically. And it's very valuable in building your inner clock. One of the things I tried to do was vary the styles, the genres, as much as possible, while using the same type of exercises, hitting the 1, hitting the 2, 3, etc. Let's have a look at the chart now and check out the structure of the tune.
This chart is pretty simple and easy to understand. What I want you to take a look at mostly is the inner clockwork sections. Now, this will be section B. You'll see there we have a hit on 1 and 4 and then on 1 again. On the next line, measure 15, it says there, this figure gets moved over, so you have a hit on 2, 4, and 1 and 2. Okay, so you're basically dealing with quarter notes here, ensemble type figures with quarter notes, but we're going to be moving the phrase around so that you have a chance to really feel and get in touch with all the effects of each pulse, all the effects that it has on the time and the music. Now, if you go down to the 6th line, it says measure 23, you're going to see the figures there again. That's our inner clockwork section on beat 1, 2, and then 4 and 1. And the line below that, it's 2, 3, 4, 1, and 2. Okay, so that's measure 27. Now to the next page. On letter H, you're going to see hits on 1, 2, 3, and 4. Beat 4 is tied to a half note on the next measure, so you have all that time to fill. So be careful on this one, it might throw you off. Now at letter J, you'll see in a solo setting, we have the figures again, but we're basically doing upbeats and downbeats now in a very dramatic way. So on the first measure of letter J, it's beat 1. Then you'll see 1, 2 on the third measure, that line. The next line, 1, 2, 3. And then the third measure of that line, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then on measure 64, you see we have the and of 1. And then on the third bar of that line, and of 1 and and of 2. On the next line, and of 1, and of 2, and and of 3. And on the third bar there, and of 1, and of 2, and of 3, and of 4. On the next line, measure 72, we repeat that whole section. And here you can do lots more fills and solo type of stuff. So this is essential inner clockwork, hitting figures in different ways. It's a lot of fun and it's great work to do this. As I mentioned before, these are not randomly selected tunes. I wrote this specifically to give you a chance to hit all these kind of figures and really feel the effects they have on the time. Adapt your vocabulary to these effects and your time will definitely improve. Your inner clock gets stronger by studying these types of subdivisions and the vocabulary of each style that you adapt to the figures. Now if you take a look at letter K, it says funky. I have those quarter notes written underneath the staff there. That's the bass line. It's doing a little variation here on the choruses, so I want you to catch that with the bass drum. This kind of implies a double time feel, and it's really good, like I mentioned before, to give a little double time and regular time feel once in a while. This helps to keep your inner clock active and strong in the two feels. Now, it sounds like a regular bass line in part of the song, but the thing is, sometimes there's a tendency to rush or drag these type of things. So I want you to try to hit those as much as possible. On the outro at letter K, I changed the groove a little bit. Let's go back to the studio and let me explain what I do there.
I'm playing a basic shuffle funk groove. It's backbeat on 2 and 4, and maybe 8th notes or a mixture of 16th note figures here, something like this. 1, 2, 3. Right. I hear that type of thing a lot in reggae. For the choruses of the tune, it's real nice. Or you can just keep the one drop during the whole tune. That's also a lot of fun.
always wanted to do a song with reggae in the first Interclock book, but it's very hard to program the appropriate feel. You know, back in those days when the first Interclock book came out, there was no like loop things that were really killing, you know, the looped bass lines and things like that. So to write a reggae piece, you needed access to those type of players, and at that time I didn't have access to those type of players because I was in LA and, you know, gigging and hectic and trying to write, and now I finally had the chance. So Don't Break My Heart is basically a reggae tune with the exercise portion, the Interclock work built into the drum solo section. The main gist is to play a reggae feel, and with the Interclock section exercises built into it.
So that's Don't Break My Hearts. Have fun with it.